Thank you very much, Margaret. And the theme of this conference is maximizing long-term growth. But this morning they took a slight detour into short-term issues with Ben Bernanke's speech. And Professor Feldstein, thank you for joining us. Do you think he bridged the gap? Because his message sort of was the Fed can't do much more short-term and we need to focus on long-term issues.
Well, he certainly talked about both of those. And I think what he said about the short-term suggests that they don't have any great plans for the short run and that they don't think they can do anymore. I think that's right. I don't think the Fed has any tools for fixing the short run. I think for the long run, we've learned a long time ago that the Fed's primary job for the long run is price stability, they're not the ones to create economic growth for the long run. And he talked about the need for better fiscal management, bringing down fiscal deficits, long-term deficits. And I think, again, that's exactly right. So there was nothing surprising in the speech, but it was a good, sound speech.
But do you think he backed off from expectations that he might at least outline steps the Fed could take because he doesn't think they'll work or because he doesn't think they're necessary?
Well, I think if he thought they would work and he thought he could persuade the other members of the FOMC, he would have told us about them. But I think at this point, there's not much that they could do, and the risks are that some of it would backfire. And so I think we're not going to see them trying to do anything to spur this economy in the near term.
Now, he did talk about marking down growth for this year below what the Fed thought was going to happen. And you have a theory out there that's backed by some Fed research that when you get 1% growth for a couple of quarters, it can easily tip over into recession. Do you buy that?
Well, I buy that we could easily tip into recession. You know, if you look at the monthly estimates of GDP, and there aren't official ones, but there are good private ones, the GDP in June, the most recent month for which we have a GDP estimate, was lower than December. So it's been falling for most of this year. So if you were judging whether we were sliding into recession, you'd say, well, if that continued, if it became sustained and deeper, we're in recession, and it began back in December.
Well, you helped make the decision on that. Is it possible that we never left recession?
Yes. I mean, if the economy keeps turning down, keeps moving down, it'll be the first time that the economy has done that without first regaining the pre-recession peak. So as Chairman Bernanke said this morning, we're actually at a lower level of GDP now than we were in December of 2007. So the economy remains in a hole. It started up in the summer of 2009, but it never regained that original level. So it's going to be a question of words as to whether we say, assuming it does turn into a recession, whether we say this is a new recession, probably that's what would be said, or whether we say this is a double dip continuation of the first recession.
Well, do you think there's much chance that we will avoid it? What's your base forecast going forward?
My base forecast is that we've got a better than even chance that we're going to be sliding into what will be called a recession. Whether we call it a double dip or a new recession, I think there's a better than even chance that we're going to see more declines in production, employment, and sales, and so on going forward.
30 seconds left then. Does that mean we're going to see more monetary policy from the Fed eventually?
I don't think there's anything they can do. I think we're going to have to see this turned around by improvements on the fiscal outlook, dealing with things like housing, but not by, can't cut interest rates any more than they've done.
Marty Feldstein, thank you for joining us today. Always great to see you.
Good.